They said the old man had only days left to live, yet every morning his mansion on the hill still glowed like a palace that refused to die. And that was where Mary Okafor, a 24-year-old maid with dreams bigger than her pay, found herself one rainy Monday morning, standing before the gates of a billionaire's final home, with no idea that her life was about to change forever. Welcome, dear listener, to another unforgettable folktale from the heart of Africa. If you love stories that stir your soul and keep you guessing till the very end, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and stay with me till the last second, because what you're about to hear will shock, move, and inspire you in ways you'll never forget. Now, let's begin. Mary had been hired only 3 days ago through a cleaning agency in Lagos. She wasn't supposed to work for just anyone. Her file had been marked special duty. When she arrived at the mansion in Maitama, Abuja, she realized why. The compound stretched like a small village, guarded by men in black suits, with a fountain that danced even in the rain. She had never seen such wealth. Yet, inside that grand house, there was silence, a kind of silence that carried sadness. At the center of it all was Chief Benjamin Adiwale, 87 years old, a man once called the Lion of Commerce. He owned shipping lines, real estate, even a bank. But now he was a shadow on his hospital bed in his own bedroom, breathing through tubes, surrounded by machines that hummed like tired bees. His children barely visited. The nurses did their work like robots. Only one person stayed longer than she was paid to, the new maid. Mary was quiet, respectful, but sharp. The head nurse, Mrs. Doris, warned her, "Do your cleaning, don't talk to Chief. He doesn't like people near him." Mary nodded, but as she dusted the furniture and arranged flowers, she kept stealing glances at the frail man on the bed. He looked lonely, and loneliness was something she understood too well. That night, after everyone had left, Mary stayed behind to mop the floor of his room. The chief stirred for the first time in hours. His voice cracked like old wood. "Who's there?" "It's me, sir." "Mary." "The maid," she answered softly. He squinted weakly. "You're new?" "Yes, sir. Just started yesterday." He coughed, the sound dry and painful. "Yesterday," he repeated, almost like the word itself was precious. "Do you know what day tomorrow is?" "No, sir." He smiled faintly. "My birthday, 88, if I reach it." Mary paused, her mop still in hand. She wanted to say something comforting, but all that came out was, "You'll reach it, sir. God willing." The old man looked at her for a long time. "God willing," he echoed, then turned his face to the wall. The next morning, Mary came early again. The head nurse complained. "Why are you always hanging around the old man's room? Are you trying to get attention?" Mary didn't answer. She just smiled and continued her work. But the truth was, she felt drawn to him. She couldn't explain it. There was something about the way he looked at her, like he saw someone else inside her face. By evening, when the other workers were gone, Chief Benjamin called out softly, "Mary." She stepped closer. "Yes, sir." He pointed weakly to the drawer beside his bed. "Bring me the small brown envelope." She opened the drawer and pulled it out. It was old, sealed, and marked private. "Do not open it," he whispered. "Just hold it for me. Keep it safe until I say." Mary's hands trembled. "All right, sir." He looked at her again, eyes sharp now, alive in a way that startled her. "Do you believe people can make peace before they die?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, sir. My mother used to say, 'A clean heart is lighter than gold.'" His lips twitched into a sad smile. "Your mother was right." That night, the thunderstorm returned. Lightning flashed through the wide glass windows. Mary sat in the small staff room downstairs, holding the envelope in her hands. She wondered why he trusted her, a maid he had only just met. But something deep inside her told her the envelope was no ordinary paper. It felt heavy, like it carried a secret too sacred to open. The next day, she found the chief sitting up for the first time, his nurse adjusting his pillows. When he saw Mary, he gestured weakly. "Come." Mrs. Doris frowned. "Sir, she's just—" "Come," he repeated firmly. Mary stepped closer. He pointed to the photo on his bedside table, a young woman holding a baby. "Do you know her?" he asked. Mary shook her head. "No, sir. She was my wife. She died 50 years ago," he said softly. "And the baby? My daughter. Gone. Because of my pride." Mary lowered her eyes. He turned to her. "Will you help me find something before I go?" "Find what, sir?" He smiled faintly. "Peace." That was the first time she saw tears in his eyes. And that was the moment she realized this wasn't just a cleaning job. The billionaire was carrying a secret, one that had haunted him for decades. And now, with death around the corner, he wanted her, a poor maid, to fix what his money never could. But what was in the brown envelope? Why had he chosen her? And who was the daughter in the picture? As the wind howled outside and the mansion lights flickered, Mary's heart pounded with fear and curiosity. Somewhere between duty and destiny, she was stepping into something she could no longer walk away from. The following morning, the mansion felt unusually quiet, as though the walls themselves were holding their breath. The sky was pale gray, and a soft drizzle misted over the garden where the fountain no longer danced. Inside, Chief Benjamin hadn't eaten. His nurses whispered that he had refused breakfast and medication. His pulse was weaker. His doctor shook his head and said, "He's waiting for something." Mary felt it too. Every time she entered his room, she sensed an unspoken tension in the air, like the mansion was haunted, not by ghosts, but by unfinished truths. She tried to distract herself with chores, polishing the marble floor, folding linen, dusting chandeliers she would never own. Yet, her mind kept circling back to the brown envelope. She had tucked it carefully inside her small wooden locker, under her Bible, as though it was sacred. That afternoon, while cleaning near the chief's room, she heard him call out softly, "Mary, come closer." She hurried in, wiping her hands on her apron. "Yes, sir." He motioned for her to sit. "Close the door." When she did, he looked at her for a long moment before saying, "Do you still have it?" "Yes, sir," she replied quickly. "I kept it safe." "Good," he whispered. "Inside that envelope is the one thing I must finish before I die." She hesitated. "Should I open it now?" He shook his head faintly. "Not yet. There's something I need to tell you first." He coughed, his chest rattling. Mary rushed to get him water, but he waved her off gently. "No need. Just listen. When I was your age," he began, "I was already rich. I thought the world bowed to money. I married a beautiful woman, Clara. She gave me a daughter, but my hunger for power ruined us. I accused her of betrayal when I was the one betraying myself. I threw her out of this very house. I told her never to return. She died 2 years later in a village near Lokoja, and I never saw my child again." Mary's throat tightened. "I'm so sorry, sir." He looked away, his face stiff with pain. "Sorry cannot buy peace. Not even all my wealth could. For 50 years, I've built empires, hospitals, schools. People call me generous. But what use is charity if the person you wronged still sleeps unburied in your heart?" His voice broke. "I've searched for my daughter for decades. I hired detectives, pastors, even journalists. No one found her. But 3 months ago, someone sent me a letter, unsigned, saying she's alive. The letter claimed she works somewhere in Kogi State. That envelope you hold contains the last trace I have of her." Mary's hands went cold. "Sir, why give it to me?" He looked straight into her eyes. "Because I don't trust anyone else. My sons are vultures. They're waiting for me to die so they can fight over my wealth. But I see something in you, Mary. You remind me of her. The way you speak, the way you pray quietly when you think no one is watching." She felt a lump rise in her throat. "What do you want me to do, sir?" "I want you to find her. Find my daughter, and give her what's in that envelope. Promise me." Mary froze. "Me? But, sir, I'm just a maid. I've never traveled far. What if? Promise me, Mary. His voice, weak moments ago, suddenly grew fierce. She swallowed hard, her heart racing. I promise. He exhaled shakily, his body relaxing back against the pillows. Good. Inside are directions, old photos, and a key. That key opens something important, but don't use it unless you find her. Do you understand? Yes, sir. He nodded slowly. You're braver than you think. But be careful. If my sons find out, they'll stop you. They've been searching for that envelope too. They think it's a will. Mary's eyes widened. A will? Yes, but what's in it is far more valuable than property. It's truth. Just then, the door burst open. It was Dr. Lawal, followed by Chief's eldest son, Richard Adiwale, tall, well-dressed, and smelling of arrogance. Father, he barked. Why are you exhausting yourself talking to servants? The chief's eyes darkened. She's not just a servant. Richard scoffed. Then what is she? Another pity project. Mary quietly stood and stepped back, clutching the hem of her apron. Richard leaned closer to the bed. The lawyer will be here tomorrow. We need to finalize your will before. Enough. Chief shouted weakly. Get out. Father. I said out. Richard's jaw tightened, but he turned sharply and left, slamming the door. The doctor followed, muttering about the old man's blood pressure. When the room was quiet again, the chief whispered, You see, that's what greed does. Even before I'm gone, they're already carving the corpse. Mary bowed her head. God will protect you, sir. He smiled faintly. No, Mary, God will protect you. Later that night, while the house slept, Mary packed a small bag quietly. Her heart pounded as she slid the brown envelope and her Bible inside. She had never disobeyed her employers, but she knew she couldn't stay any longer. Chief Benjamin had fallen into a coma just after sunset. The nurses whispered that he might not survive the night. Mary felt a pull in her spirit, the kind that comes when destiny is calling, even if you don't yet know where it's leading. She tiptoed through the hallway, the marble floor cold under her feet. Outside, the security lights flickered. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. When she reached the gate, the guard stopped her. Madam, where you day go this night? She forced a smile. I'm going to buy medicine. Chief said it's urgent. The guard frowned. By this time. She swallowed hard. He can't sleep without it. Please. The guard hesitated, then sighed. All right. No too late come back. Thank you, she said quickly, slipping through the gate before her fear showed. The rain had started again, soft but steady. Mary walked fast down the lonely street, clutching her bag tight against her chest. She didn't know where to start, or what she was chasing. All she knew was that she had made a promise to a dying man, and somehow, deep inside, she believed that promise would change more than one life. But as she turned the corner, headlights flashed behind her. A black SUV slowed down and stopped a few meters away. The tinted window rolled down halfway. Mary, a familiar voice called. It was Richard. Get in. She froze. How did you? Just get in, he said, smiling thinly. We need to talk. The rain grew heavier. Her heart thudded like a drum in her chest. She clutched the bag tighter and took a cautious step back. Richard's smile faded. Don't make this difficult. Mary turned and ran. The night swallowed Mary whole as she ran. Her slippers slapped against the wet pavement, splashing puddles under the dim glow of streetlights. Behind her, the SUV's tires screeched. A horn blared. She ducked into a narrow alley, her heart hammering like thunder. She didn't look back until she reached a small roadside kiosk where a tired woman was frying a kara. The smell of smoke and beans filled the air. Abeg, sister, Mary gasped. Is there a bus park near here? The woman pointed with her oily spatula. Down that way. But they don't close. Oh, it's midnight. Mary nodded, breathless. Thank you. She adjusted her small bag and hurried into the darkness. The city felt different now, dangerous, watchful. Every shadow looked alive. She didn't know who to trust. All she had was the brown envelope and the memory of Chief Benjamin's voice whispering, "If my sons find out, they'll stop you." By the time she reached Zuba Motor Park, dawn was beginning to crawl across the sky. Drivers were already shouting destinations. Lokoja straight. One chance no day-o. She approached the first bus. "How much?" 7,000. She frowned. "I only have 5. The driver shrugged. "Then enter and pray your angel covers the rest." She climbed in quietly. The bus smelled of dust and petrol. Beside her sat a woman breastfeeding a baby, and 2 rows ahead, a man snored loudly, head against the window. As the bus rumbled to life, Mary looked out at the city fading behind her. The gates, the fountain, the mansion that had changed everything. Inside her bag, the brown envelope seemed to burn like fire. She wanted to open it, to know the truth. But her promise echoed in her mind. "Don't open it until I say." Only now, he couldn't say anything. Hours passed. The road was long and uneven. Trees blurred into endless green as they passed small villages and petrol stations. Mary tried to rest, but every time her eyes closed, she saw Richard's cold smile. By afternoon, the bus stopped at a small roadside market. The driver shouted, 15 minutes break. Mary stepped down to stretch her legs. She bought a sachet of water and a piece of bread from a boy no older than 12. "Thank you, Auntie," the boy said. Mary smiled faintly. "What's your name?" "Samuel." She nodded. "You go school?" He laughed sadly. "If my mama get money." Something about the boy tugged at her heart. She tore her bread in half and handed him a piece. "Take." His eyes widened. "For me?" She smiled again. "Yes, for you." When she returned to the bus, she noticed a tall man in dark sunglasses staring at her from across the market. He wasn't buying anything, just watching. Her chest tightened. "Madam, I beg," she whispered to the driver. "Please can we go now?" He frowned. "We still day wait for one passenger." "Please," she insisted, eyes darting toward the man. "He's coming this way." The driver looked up and saw the man approaching. "Oya, everybody inside," he shouted suddenly. "We day go now." As the bus sped off, Mary looked back. The man had stopped in the middle of the road, phone pressed to his ear. Even from a distance, she could see the sharpness of his movement, the kind that belonged to someone following orders. Richard had sent someone after her. By evening, the bus reached Lokoja. The confluent city glittered faintly in the sunset, where the Niger and Benue rivers met like secrets converging. Mary stepped out with trembling legs. She clutched her bag tightly and walked to a nearby kiosk. "Good evening, madam," she greeted the woman inside. "Please, I'm looking for a place to stay for the night. Cheap one." The woman eyed her curiously. "You no be from here?" "No, ma. I came from Abuja." The woman pointed across the road. "Try that small lodge there. Ask for room 2 or 3. They still get light." Mary thanked her and hurried off. The lodge was old but clean. She paid with her last cash and locked the door behind her. Then she finally sat on the edge of the bed, breathless. She took out the envelope. For a long time, she just stared at it. The paper was creased, the seal worn. Finally, she whispered, "Forgive me, sir," and broke the seal. Inside were 3 things, a faded photograph, a small silver key, and a handwritten letter. The photo showed a woman holding a little girl beside a mango tree. On the back, someone had written, "Clara and Ada, Lokoja, 1978. Her hands shook as she unfolded the letter. The paper smelled old, like forgotten tears. "If you are reading this, it means I am gone." This key opens the old family house in Kaba, near the central mosque. In that house is a red trunk. Inside the trunk is proof of everything, the truth of who my daughter is. Whoever holds this letter must deliver it to her, wherever she may be. Her name is Ada Benjamin, though she may not carry that name anymore. Tell her her father never stopped searching. Tell her I was wrong. Tell her I am sorry." Mary covered her mouth. Ada Benjamin. She whispered the name like a prayer. The next page was a map, hand-drawn in shaky ink. Kaba wasn't far, a small town west of Lokoja. She could get there by morning. But her thoughts were interrupted by a knock on the door. "Who is it?" she called, startled. "Room service," a male voice said. "I didn't order anything." "Madam, your friend from Abuja said we should check if you arrived safely." Mary froze. She hadn't told anyone where she was going. The voice came again, firmer this time. "Open the door, please." Her heart pounded. She quickly stuffed the letter and key back into the envelope, grabbed her bag, and looked around for another exit. There was none, only a small window half covered by iron bars. "Madam, open the door," the man said again, knocking harder now. She backed away slowly, eyes darting. Then she saw the bathroom window, small but loose at the hinges. She climbed onto the sink, pushed it open with all her strength, and squeezed through. Rain soaked her hair and uniform as she dropped onto the muddy ground behind the lodge. Voices shouted inside. "Check the bathroom." "She's gone." Mary ran barefoot into the night, lightning flashing across the sky. Mud splashed her legs as she stumbled through narrow streets and market paths until she reached a small taxi park at the edge of town. A single driver was there, smoking beside his rusted car. "Brothers, please," she panted. "You fit carry me go Kaba?" He looked at her, surprised. "This time of night?" "I'll pay you double," she said quickly. "Please, it's urgent." He studied her face, soaked, trembling, desperate, then shrugged. "Enter, but hope you no get Wala o." Mary exhaled shakily. "No Wala, sir. Just drive." As the car pulled onto the highway, thunder rolled again over the horizon. Mary hugged her bag tight, the brown envelope pressed against her heart. She didn't know what awaited her in Kaba, but she knew one thing for sure. If the chief's sons were already chasing her, then whatever truth lay inside that red trunk could destroy everything they were fighting to protect. She whispered softly to herself, "God, guide me." Outside, lightning flashed again, and for a moment, through the reflection of the window, she thought she saw the black SUV trailing behind them in the distance. The road to Kaba wound through hills and thick trees that whispered in the wind. The taxi's headlights sliced through the darkness, but inside the car, Mary's mind was louder than the storm outside. She replayed everything, the chief's trembling hand, his plea for forgiveness, the brown envelope, the chase, the knock at the lodge door. Somewhere behind her, men were hunting her. Ahead, the truth was waiting. The driver, a lean man named Jonah, glanced at her through the mirror. "Madam, you sure say this your journey no get danger?" Mary tried to smile. "Danger day everywhere, Oga. But truth no day hide forever." He chuckled dryly. "You sound like preacher." She sighed. "No, I just made a promise to a dying man." Jonah looked at her reflection again, longer this time, and said nothing. By 4 a.m., the rain had eased. The early dawn mist hung over Kaba like a blanket. Jonah stopped in front of a small junction lined with old shops and flickering bulbs. "Madam, na hear my motor go stop. I no fit enter deeper inside this place. Fuel don finish small." Mary nodded, handing him the last of her money. "Thank you. God bless you." He hesitated, then gave her a folded note. "Take my number. If Wala catch you, call me." She tucked it into her bag, thanked him again, and watched as the taxi disappeared into the morning fog. The street was quiet. A lone rooster crowed somewhere in the distance. Following the chief's map, she walked along a narrow road until she saw it, the old family house. It was exactly as the drawing described, near the central mosque, surrounded by tall mango trees whose roots cracked the red earth. The gate was rusted, the compound overgrown. The roof sagged at one corner. Still, something about it felt sacred, as if time itself had been waiting for her arrival. Mary stepped closer, her shoes sinking into the wet ground. She hesitated before using the silver key. It fit perfectly. With a soft click, the gate opened. Inside, the air was heavy with dust and silence. The house smelled of age and secrets. The living room still held faded curtains and broken furniture, covered in cobwebs. On the wall hung an old portrait, Chief Benjamin in his prime, young and proud, standing beside a beautiful woman whose eyes were full of warmth. Mary touched the frame gently. "So this is where it began," she whispered. She walked deeper inside until she found the bedroom. The chief's map had been right. Beside the bed, under a stack of boxes, was a red trunk. Its metal corners were rusted, its padlock worn but unbroken. Her heart pounded as she knelt beside it. "This is it," she breathed. Her hands shook as she used the silver key. The lock clicked open. Inside were stacks of old papers, yellowed letters, photographs, and a small black journal tied with a string. The first thing she pulled out was a document, an old birth certificate. She read aloud, voice trembling, name, Ada Clara Benjamin. Date of birth, the 12th of March, 1978. Mother, Clara Benjamin. Father, Chief Benjamin Adiwale. Tears filled her eyes. She was real. The daughter existed. But as she lifted another document, her breath caught. It was an adoption record, stamped and signed. It showed that when Clara died, the baby had been taken by a couple named Mr. and Mrs. John Degun, residents of Kaba. The record even listed their address. Mary pressed her hand to her mouth. "She's been here, all along." Her heart raced with hope. She quickly stuffed the documents and journal into her bag. But just as she stood, she heard the creak of the front gate. Footsteps. She froze. Through the broken window, she saw two figures entering the compound, one tall, wearing a black coat, and another shorter man holding a flashlight. "Search everywhere," the taller one said. His voice was sharp, commanding. "She must be here." Mary's blood ran cold. Richard's men. She grabbed her bag and slipped silently toward the back of the house. Every step felt like thunder in her ears. As she reached the kitchen, the wooden floor creaked. "Wait! Someone's inside," the shorter man shouted. Mary bolted toward the back door, pushing it open and darting into the tall grass behind the house. Rain had started again, soft but relentless. She ran blindly through the bushes until she stumbled onto a small dirt path leading toward the main road. Behind her, flashlights swept through the darkness. "Spread out. Don't let her escape." She kept running. Branches whipped her arms. Her breath came in sharp bursts. She reached the edge of a narrow bridge crossing a shallow stream, and that's when her foot slipped. She fell hard, hitting her shoulder against a rock. The bag flew open, spilling the documents into the muddy water. "No, no, no," she cried, scrambling to gather them. Her fingers trembled as she snatched the soaked papers. The ink on some had started to smear. A flashlight beam cut through the rain. "There she is." Mary clutched the bag, heart pounding. She crawled under the bridge, pressing herself into the shadows as footsteps thundered above. She held her breath. "Did you see her?" one voice asked. "She disappeared," another replied. "Check the other side." They moved off, the sound of their boots fading into the night. Mary waited until silence returned. Then she crawled out, dripping, her dress torn and muddy. She looked down at the papers. The names were still visible, barely. She whispered, "God, don't let this proof be lost." By sunrise, she had made her way into the main town. The streets were slowly waking, women sweeping in front of shops, a bread seller shouting prices, motorbikes revving. Mary approached a small kiosk where an elderly woman sold fruits. "Good morning, Ma," she said weakly. "Please, do you know anyone called the Deguns? They lived here many years ago." The woman squinted. "A Degun? Which one? The old carpenter or the nurse?" Mary's heart skipped. "Nurse." "Yes," the woman nodded. Mamara Degun was a nurse before she passed. Her daughter still day around. She runs a small clinic near the market. Nice woman. Name N.A. Ada. Mary froze. Did you say Ada? Yes now. Ada Adigun. You know her? Mary's knees nearly gave way. Not yet, she whispered. But I need to. The woman pointed. Go straight. Turn left by the mango tree. You go see signboard, Grace Hand's Clinic. That's her place. Mary thanked her and hurried away, her heartbeat rising with every step. The clinic was small, painted blue and white, with a sign that read Grace Hand's Clinic, caring with heart. Inside, the waiting room was simple but clean. 2 patients sat quietly. Behind the counter stood a woman in her mid-40s, wearing a nurse's uniform. Her face was calm, kind, but there was something about her eyes, the same warmth from the photo Mary had seen in the trunk. Mary's throat tightened. She stepped closer. Good morning, she said softly. Are you Nurse Ada Adigun? The woman looked up. Yes. How can I help you? Mary clutched her bag, struggling to speak. My name is Mary. I came from Abuja. I have something that belongs to you. Ada frowned slightly. To me? Yes. From your father. Silence. The air in the small clinic seemed to freeze. Ada blinked, confusion and disbelief crossing her face. My father, she said slowly. You must be mistaken. My parents are both dead. Mary shook her head. Not the ones who raised you. The one who gave you life. Chief Benjamin Adiwale. Ada's face went pale. What did you just say? Mary opened her bag and pulled out the half-wet photo and the birth certificate. He's dying, Ma. He asked me to find you, to tell you the truth before it's too late. Ada's hand trembled as she reached for the photo. Her eyes widened. This is my mother. Where did you get this? From your father's house in Kaba. I found it in the red trunk. For a moment, Ada said nothing. Then she whispered, almost to herself, all these years, I thought he abandoned us. Mary nodded. He never stopped looking. But before Ada could speak again, a loud noise came from outside, the sound of a car screeching to a halt. 2 men in suits jumped out, scanning the area. Mary's blood ran cold. They found us, she whispered. Ada looked up sharply. Who are they? Mary grabbed her hand. You need to come with me. Now. Outside, the men began shouting. Search the clinic. The girl is inside. Ada stared at Mary, eyes wide with shock. What's happening? Please, Mary begged. I'll explain later. But if they find us, everything your father wanted will be destroyed. The door burst open. Stop them, one of the men shouted. Mary pulled Ada toward the back door, clutching the bag with the soaked documents and the chief's final letter. They burst into the open yard behind the clinic, sprinting into the narrow alley that led toward the marketplace. Behind them, the men gave chase. The hunt had begun again, but this time, Mary wasn't running alone. The morning market in Kaba was just waking when Mary and Ada dashed through the narrow alleys. The smell of roasted corn and wet dust filled the air. Traders setting up their stalls looked on in confusion as the 2 women ran past, skirts flying, hearts pounding. Behind them, men shouted and boots pounded the ground. This way. Mary gasped, pulling Ada toward a path behind the yam stalls. They squeezed between 2 walls and ducked into the back of a small provision store. The owner, a plump woman with sharp eyes, looked up from stacking crates. Auntie, please, Mary whispered breathlessly. We just need to hide for a few minutes. The woman frowned, glancing toward the noise outside. Hide from who? Please, I'll explain later, Mary begged. They're coming. Something in her voice, desperate, trembling, sincere, softened the woman's face. Oya, enter inside, she said, pointing toward a small backroom filled with sacks of rice. She shut the door behind them. Mary and Ada crouched in the dark, both breathing hard. Through a crack in the wood, Mary could see shadows moving outside. One man shouted, "Check every shop. They can't be far." Ada turned to Mary, whispering sharply, "Who are they? Why are they after you? After us?" Mary swallowed. "The chief's sons. They think the letter and documents I found are about his will. If you're recognized as his real daughter, everything they own could be taken away." Ada's eyes widened. "But I didn't even know him." "I know," Mary said softly, "but they don't care. They just don't want the truth to come out." Outside, the men's voices grew fainter as they moved toward the next street. After a few tense minutes, the store owner opened the door slightly. "They don't go," she whispered. "You can come out now." Mary exhaled shakily. "Thank you, Ma. God bless you." The woman nodded. "Wetting you today do we men in suit day chase you this early morning?" Mary smiled weakly. "Long story, Ma. But you just helped two souls God sent to each other." When they stepped outside, Ada's hands were trembling. "Mary, I don't understand any of this," she said. "If what you're saying is true, then my whole life has been a lie." Mary nodded. "Sometimes truth comes late, but it always comes." Ada stared into the distance, her eyes wet. "He's still alive?" "Yes," Mary said, "but he's very weak. He might not have much time left." Ada bit her lip, torn between anger and longing. "He left my mother to suffer. He let me grow up thinking we were nothing. And now he wants forgiveness." Mary reached for her hand gently. "He's not asking to erase the pain. He's asking for peace before he dies. And maybe that peace will also free you." Ada didn't reply. Her silence said everything. The storm inside her heart was louder than any words. By afternoon, they boarded a small commercial bus heading back toward Abuja. Ada kept her head down, a scarf tied around her hair. Mary sat beside her, clutching the soaked bag on her lap. The journey was quiet. Halfway through the trip, Ada finally spoke. "Do you believe he's really sorry?" Mary looked out the window. "I've seen the eyes of many dying people, Ma. Some cry because they're scared of death. Others cry because they can't fix what they broke. Chief Benjamin wasn't scared of dying. He was scared of leaving things undone." Ada turned away, her voice low. "My mother used to pray for him every night, even after everything. I used to get angry at her for that. I didn't understand why she would pray for someone who abandoned us. Maybe she knew that one day, you would be the answer to that prayer," Mary said softly. Ada fell silent again, wiping her eyes quietly as the bus rolled on. When they arrived in Abuja late that evening, the sky was bruised purple with clouds. The mansion stood tall in the distance like a ghostly memory waiting to breathe again. Mary hesitated at the gate. 2 guards were posted there, new faces she didn't recognize. She pulled Ada's scarf lower over her face. "Follow me. Don't say anything." The guard frowned as Mary approached. "You again? I thought you run away." Mary forced a tired smile. "I went to buy medicine for Chief. Remember? He needed it urgently." The man eyed her suspiciously. "You disappear for 2 days." "I had to travel to get it," she said quickly. "Please, let me see the matron. The chief's life depends on it." The guard hesitated, then sighed. "Enter, but don't stay long." They slipped inside. The hallway lights were dim. Nurses whispered quietly near the stairs. Mary caught one of them by the arm. "How is he?" The nurse sighed. "Still alive, but not talking. His sons no day allow anybody near the room again." Mary's stomach knotted. "What of the matron?" "She went home." Mary turned to Ada. "Stay here," she whispered. "Let me see if the back corridor is clear." She peeked around the corner. 2 guards stood outside the chief's room. Richard's voice could be heard faintly through the door, sharp, impatient. "Doctor, how long will this coma last? We can't keep wasting time." The doctor's tired reply came. "He can still hear things, Mr. Richard. Keep your voice down." Mary took a deep breath, then turned to Ada. "We'll have to distract them." Ada blinked. "How?" "Follow my lead." Mary walked straight toward the guards. "Excuse me, Please, she said firmly, pretending to carry authority. Matron said I should bring the patient's new medication. It must be administered now. One guard frowned. Medication? We didn't hear anything about that. She called me herself, Mary insisted. Do you want to be responsible if something happens to him? The guards exchanged uneasy glances. Finally, one sighed. All right, make it quick. Thank you, Mary said, bowing slightly. She opened the door, gesturing for Ada to follow quietly. Once inside, she closed it behind them. The room was dimly lit, the soft beep of machines echoing. Chief Benjamin lay motionless, oxygen mask on, his skin pale like paper. But his fingers twitched slightly when Mary approached. Sir, she whispered, kneeling beside the bed. It's me, Mary. I found her. His eyes fluttered open slowly, weak but alive. He turned his head slightly. Mary, he croaked. Tears filled her eyes. Yes, sir. She's here. Your daughter. Ada stood frozen near the door, her heart pounding. For years she had imagined what this moment might feel like: anger, sadness, confusion. But now, as she looked at the frail man lying before her, all she felt was silence. Chief Benjamin's gaze found her. His lips trembled. Clara. Ada shook her head gently. No, I'm Ada, your daughter. A faint smile crossed his face. You have her eyes. Ada stepped closer, tears sliding down her cheeks. Why didn't you come for us? He tried to speak, but his voice cracked. Pride, he whispered. I thought I had time. You didn't, she said quietly, voice shaking. You took everything from her. I know, he rasped. Every night. I heard her in my dreams. She forgave me long before I forgave myself. Ada pressed her hand to her chest, fighting to breathe. She waited for you till her last day. I saw it in her eyes. The old man's tears slid down his temples. And now, I can rest. I wanted to tell you myself. Mary wiped her eyes, whispering, he wrote a letter for you. She pulled the envelope from her bag and placed it in Ada's hands. Ada opened it slowly, her fingers trembling. Inside was a short note written in shaky handwriting. To my daughter, Ada. If I could turn back time, I'd trade every coin I own for one more day with you and your mother. Forgive me, not because I deserve it, but because peace is lighter than pain. Your father, Benjamin. Ada pressed the letter to her lips, sobbing silently. The old man reached out a trembling hand, and she took it gently, letting their fingers intertwine. I forgive you, she whispered. Chief Benjamin exhaled shakily, a faint smile still on his face. Thank you, he breathed. Now, I can go home. Suddenly, the door burst open. Richard stood there, fury in his eyes. What is this? He shouted. The noise startled the chief. His monitor beeped faster. Mary turned. Please, not now. Richard stormed forward. You! I told you to stay away. Guards! But before he could finish, the chief's trembling voice cut through the chaos. Enough! Everyone froze. The old man's eyes burned with the last flame of his strength. Richard, listen to me. This woman, this is your sister. Richard stared, disbelief washing over him. What? Chief Benjamin's voice softened. Everything I built will destroy you if you don't learn mercy. She is my firstborn. Richard's jaw clenched. You can't be serious. But the chief's hand dropped weakly, his breath slowing. Be kind, my son, he whispered. Then, with one last exhale, the monitor flatlined. The room went silent. Ada fell to her knees, crying softly beside the bed. Mary stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. Richard backed away slowly, his face pale. No, this isn't over, he muttered, then turned and stormed out. Mary reached for Ada, holding her gently. The old man's hand lay still between them, and in that moment, they both knew his final wish had been fulfilled. But the war he left behind had just begun. The mansion that night was not a home. It was a battlefield dressed in silence. Outside, rain beat softly against the windows, washing the dust from the golden gates. Inside, servants whispered and wept. The Lion of Commerce, Chief Benjamin Adiwale, had breathed his last. Mary and Ada sat quietly in the corner of his room, their hands still joined, the letter lying between them. The steady beeping of the heart monitor was gone. All that remained was the sound of rain and the ache of unfinished peace. Then came the echo of angry voices from the hallway. Richard was shouting again. "No one leaves this house. Not that maid. Not that woman. I want every exit locked until the lawyer arrives." A nurse tried to calm him. "Sir, please." "Shut up," he snapped. "That girl is not his daughter. She's an opportunist. My father was sick and confused. Anyone could have fed him lies." Mary rose to her feet, her voice trembling but firm. He was not confused. He called her his daughter before his last breath. Richard's eyes blazed as he turned toward her. "You think you can come here and destroy everything my family built? A maid and a stranger." Ada stood slowly, her tears replaced by steel. "Your family built its empire on lies and guilt," she said softly. "All he wanted was truth before he died. If that threatens your wealth, then maybe you know it's not yours to keep." Richard clenched his fists. "You don't belong here." "I didn't choose to," Ada replied. "Your father did." For a moment, their eyes locked. The daughter who had lost everything and the son who feared losing it all. It wasn't money they were fighting for anymore. It was legacy. Then the sound of footsteps interrupted them. A tall man in a dark suit entered the room, holding a black briefcase. He adjusted his glasses calmly. "Good evening," he said. "I'm Barrister Okone, Chief Adiwale's personal lawyer." Everyone turned. Even Richard went silent. The lawyer placed the briefcase on the table and opened it carefully. "Chief instructed me to come tonight. He knew his time was short. He left specific orders regarding his estate and a recording." Richard stepped forward quickly. "You'll deal with me directly." Barrister Okone shook his head. "No, sir. You'll all listen together." He pulled out a small tablet, pressed play, and the room filled with the old man's weak but steady voice. "If you're hearing this, then I have gone to join my wife. My sons, remember this. Wealth built on pride crumbles faster than it was earned. For years, I buried my truth under concrete and coins. But before I leave, I must set it right." The sound of a paper unfolding came next, followed by a cough. "To my first daughter, Ada Clara Benjamin, I leave the old Cabba property, the red trunk, and a portion of my shares from Adiwale Holdings. To my sons, Richard and Toby, I leave the remainder of the estate on one condition. You will ensure that the medical clinic in Cabba is expanded and funded yearly in memory of Clara Benjamin, my late wife. If you fail to honor this, the trust reverts entirely to Ada. Let this be my peace." The recording clicked off. The room went completely silent. Ada covered her mouth, trembling. Mary felt tears sting her eyes. But Richard's face darkened like a storm. "That will is a fraud," he shouted. "He was dying. He didn't know what he was saying." Barrister Okone raised a brow. "Chief Benjamin signed this and recorded it a week before his death. I was there. So was Dr. Lawal. It's perfectly legal." Richard's voice cracked. "You're all liars." Ada took a small step forward, her tone calm but cutting. "You had years to know his heart, Richard. I had one night. Yet even in one night, I saw more love than your money ever gave him." He glared at her, his chest rising and falling heavily. "You think you can just walk in here and take what's ours?" "I don't want your riches," she said softly. "I only wanted his forgiveness. The rest means nothing to me." Mary nodded beside her. "She's telling the truth. She just came to give him peace." Barrister Okone cleared his throat. "Regardless of personal feelings, the law will follow his instructions. Ada Benjamin is legally recognized as his biological child. She will receive her inheritance once documentation is completed." Richard's jaw tightened. He turned sharply, slamming his fist against the wall. "You'll regret this," he muttered before storming out. The lawyer sighed. "Grief makes men foolish. I'll return tomorrow to finalize everything." He packed his files and left quietly. When the room was finally empty again, Ada sank into the chair beside her father's bed, her shoulders trembling. "Mary, I don't want this. I didn't come for money." Mary placed a gentle hand on her back. "Then don't take it for yourself. Take it to do good, to heal what was broken. That's what he wanted." Ada looked at her with tearful eyes. "You speak like you've carried this kind of pain before." Mary smiled faintly. "Pain teaches the heart how to listen. That's why he trusted me." They stayed like that for a long time, until the first light of dawn slipped through the curtains. The house was quiet again, except for the soft hum of the machines that no longer had a patient to serve. Outside, workers were setting up tents for mourners. The news had already begun spreading. Chief Benjamin Adiwale, dead at 87. Cameras, journalists, and curious neighbors would soon flood the gates. Mary turned to Ada. "You should rest. You have a long day ahead." Ada shook her head. "No, I want to see him buried myself." Later that afternoon, the compound filled with people. Wealthy business partners, politicians, family members, all pretending to grieve. The air smelled of perfume, umbrellas, and hypocrisy. As the coffin was lowered, Ada stood still beside Mary, holding the red envelope to her chest. The wind lifted her scarf, revealing her face to the crowd. Murmurs spread immediately. "Is that her? The lost daughter? I thought she died long ago." Richard stood at the edge of the gathering, his eyes fixed on her. But this time, there was no anger, only something broken, something uncertain. When the final prayer ended, Ada stepped forward. "Before we leave," she said softly, her voice carrying through the quiet, "I have something to say." Everyone turned. She took a deep breath. "My name is Ada Clara Benjamin. I didn't come here for wealth or recognition. I came because a dying man wanted peace. My mother taught me that forgiveness doesn't make you weak, it frees you. My father's sins won't disappear, but today, I choose to forgive. Not for him, but for me, and for every child who grew up believing they were forgotten." The crowd went silent. Even Richard lowered his head. Then, from the far side, an old woman shouted softly, "God bless you, my daughter," and the crowd murmured in agreement. Mary wiped her eyes. She had seen many funerals in her life, but none like this, where grief felt like healing. When the ceremony ended, Ada turned to her quietly. "Come with me to Kaba. Help me expand the clinic. I can't do it alone." Mary smiled, her voice trembling. "I will." That's what he wanted. As they walked away from the gravesite, a gentle breeze swept through the compound, rustling the trees above. Somewhere deep in that wind, Mary thought she heard a whisper, the chief's voice, soft and at peace. "Thank you, Mary." But unknown to both women, as they reached the gate, a sleek black car parked quietly across the road. Inside sat Richard, watching them leave. His jaw was tight, eyes cold. He picked up his phone and said quietly, "They think it's over." It's not. In the reflection of his window, the storm clouds gathered again. 3 months passed since the burial, but to Mary and Ada, it felt like a lifetime. The city noise had faded behind them, replaced by the gentle rhythm of Kaba, roosters crowing, children's laughter, the hum of evening markets. The old clinic that once stood as a single building had grown into something new, the Clara Benjamin Health Foundation. Every wall was painted soft white and sky blue. Inside, young nurses worked with quiet joy. Mothers brought their babies, farmers came for checkups, and every patient left with more than medicine. They left with kindness. At the heart of it all was Ada, her eyes bright, her spirit calm. She moved through the wards like a woman reborn, greeting everyone by name. At her side, always, was Mary, the maid who had become family. The old red trunk now sat in Ada's office, cleaned and polished. Inside were her mother's letters, the chief's note, and one new item. A framed photo of the two of them smiling under the clinic sign. "Mary," Ada said one morning as they walked through the courtyard. "Do you ever wonder why he chose you? Out of everyone he knew." Mary smiled gently. "I think God sometimes hides answers in small hearts, waiting for someone who won't use them for greed." She looked around the clinic yard, where children played beside the mango tree. He didn't need a lawyer. He needed a witness. Someone to carry peace where guilt used to live. Ada nodded, her eyes misty. "You did more than carry peace, Mary. You gave me my life back." Before Mary could reply, a small car pulled into the compound. A man stepped out slowly, clean shirt, tired eyes. "Richard." The nurses looked uneasy, but Ada raised a hand. "It's all right," she said softly. Richard walked up to them, hesitated, and then bowed his head slightly. "I didn't come to fight," he said. "I came to apologize." Mary and Ada exchanged glances. Richard looked thinner, humbled. "After the funeral," he continued, "I found a recording in my father's drawer. It was for me. He said, 'If pride blinds you, open your eyes in the house of the poor. That's where peace lives.'" He looked around the clinic yard. "Now I understand what he meant." Ada's voice was gentle. "You don't have to explain. The past is heavy for everyone." He nodded slowly. "Still, I was cruel. To him. To you." He reached into his pocket and handed her an envelope. "That's a donation. No publicity. No names. Just something to keep his memory clean." Ada took it quietly. "Thank you," she said. "That means more than you know." Richard turned to Mary. "You're the reason all this happened. My father used to call people servants. But he called you his peace. That's something money can't buy." Mary smiled faintly. "He found his peace because he finally remembered who he was before wealth buried him." Richard nodded, eyes wet. Maybe we all needed him to die to finally live. Then he turned and walked back to his car. The moment he left, Ada exhaled deeply, as if a storm had finally passed. "Do you think he'll change?" she asked softly. Mary looked toward the road where the car disappeared. "He already has," she said. "Sometimes forgiveness is louder than revenge." That evening, as the sun began to fall behind the hills, Mary stood outside the clinic watching the sky burn gold and crimson. Children ran past, chasing a rubber ball. A young nurse carried a tray of medicine. Somewhere in the distance, the muezzin's call floated over the rooftops, blending with the song of crickets. Ada came to stand beside her. "You could have left, you know," she said. "Gone back to your life in Abuja." Mary smiled. "And do what? Clean floors for men who think they own the world? No. This is home now. Here. I'm not just a maid. I'm part of something that matters." Ada nodded. "You've changed me, Mary." Mary chuckled softly. "No. Life did. I just held the lamp so you could see the road." As night fell, they walked together toward the mango tree at the edge of the compound, the same kind that grew outside the chief's mansion. Beneath it was a small stone plaque newly placed in the soil. It read, "Here lies peace. For Clara. For Benjamin. For every soul that found light again." They stood in silence for a while, each lost in thought. Then Ada spoke. "You know what's strange?" "What?" "It doesn't hurt anymore," she said. "I think I finally understand forgiveness." Mary smiled. "Forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself from what you can't change." A soft breeze stirred the leaves above them. Somewhere, it felt like a whisper, a blessing carried by the wind. Weeks later, the clinic hosted its first free outreach for widows and orphans. Hundreds came. Mary worked tirelessly, organizing food, cleaning rooms, helping doctors. And when the day ended, she sat under the mango tree, exhausted but smiling. Ada approached with 2 bottles of malt. "To peace," she said, raising one. Mary laughed softly and clinked hers against Ada's. "To peace." The sky was painted in streaks of orange and pink, the kind that promised hope even after storms. Mary looked up at it and whispered quietly, Chief Benjamin, your wish came true. You found your peace. The wind rustled in reply. Moral lesson. No matter how far a man strays, truth will always call him home. And sometimes, the greatest miracles are born from an act of kindness no one else was willing to give. If this story touched your heart, tell us in the comments. Would you forgive someone who broke you, if they came back seeking peace before their last breath? Say your thoughts below. Your words might heal someone else's heart today.